Welcome to The Jump, presented by Doers.
Welcome to a special edition of The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. I am so thrilled. Today, we will be announcing the nominees for induction into the 2017 class of the Basketball Hall of Fame. We have our ESPN basketball numbers savant, Tom Haberstroh, here today. There is seriously no one better who can explain all the numbers behind these nominees. And of course, if you are going to talk about some of the greatest to ever play the game, you kind of have to talk to one of the greatest of all time in the Hall of Fame, the NBA's all-time scoring leader, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
We are thrilled, as always, to have you. It's been 21 years since you went into the Hall. What do you remember most about that day? Look how young you look.
Oh, geez, yeah. No gray hair yet. But I would have to say that was the last trip that I took with my mom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was back there in the mid-'90s, and my mom passed in '97.
And she got to see you there.
But she got to see me go down the aisle in the Hall of Fame. It was very, very special.
Amazing.
In that sense, yeah.
That is really incredible. And that's what these moments are about, right? I mean, It's just all the people in your life who brought you to that point. And before we get to the names, I want to give you a quick timeline for this class of 2017. Today, we announced the nominees. February 18th, the finalists will be announced. And on April 3rd, the class of 2017 will be unveiled at the Final Four in Phoenix. So a few stages left. That's enough explanation, though. Let's get to revealing the nominees. Now, obviously, the Hall got us these names a little in advance so we could put this show together. And I want to show you what happened around here the other day when the list came in. The Hall of Fame is announcing its nominees for this year's incoming class, and you are on the list of nominees for the Hall of Fame.
No way.
Congratulations.
No. No. What?
They're going to vote, and they'll see if you're a finalist and if you make the Hall. But
man.
I have been introducing you as a future Hall of Famer on this show from day one, and it's all coming true.
I'm blushing right now. I don't know what to say.
What does that
Why
mean
y'all
to
do
you?
this? Oh, man. Well, oh, gosh. You shook me up right there with that
I like
one.
seeing you like this. Good.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it's great to be a nominee, you know, and be on that ballot. We'll see what happens. But, you know, fingers crossed.
A long career to get to this point.
Long career, and this is something that, you know, I didn't see happening, you know, when I first started. So
When in high school, you were drafted into the NBA.
from high school to the NBA, and look where we are now.
Yeah, well, we'll keep it going. Congratulations.
Thank you. Y'all got me.
Our own Tracy McGrady, of course. How cool was that, guys, watching?
That was wonderful. That was wonderful, especially to witness his humility about it. You know, he didn't even, that
He
took him by
definitely did not
surprise.
expect it.
I hadn't seen that before, and I was getting a little choked up just
Right?
watching him getting choked up watching that. And
Yeah.
that was really incredible. I had never seen that before.
It's amazing. We got the list, as we said, at the end of last week, and you know we can't keep a secret internally around here from Tracy. We had to tell him right away, and he was so excited. Of course, everyone remembers Tracy McGrady being drafted by the Raptors out of high school, 1997. He'd go on to average nearly 20 points and 6 rebounds per game over his 15-year career. So, Tom, what kind of case can you make for Tracy to get into the Hall?
I mean, he says in that little clip there that we'll see what happens. No, we won't see. He's in. I mean, he's going to be a shoo-in. I mean, that guy is one of the best scorers of all time in the NBA. He's a 2-time scoring champion. If you look at the list of guys who have been multiple scoring titles, there's 13 who are in the Hall of Fame and 3 that are not. The other 3 are Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Durant. Kobe and Kevin Durant obviously not eligible.
So he's really the only one.
That's gonna be 16.
Right.
That's gonna be 16 on that list. And when you talk about consistency, in March of 2003, he scored over 30 points in 14 straight games. Hasn't been done since 2003. So talk about consistency and just the production. Tracy McGrady, he's gonna be a shoo-in.
When you have somebody that can deliver for different coaches, over that period of time, you're talking about somebody who definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. He had all of the all of the relevant stats where they relied on him and he delivered consistently. Easy choice.
See that, Tracy? If Kareem says you belong, because Kareem, he's the final word on everything basketball. I want to move on to the next nominee, Mr. Chris Webber. C. Webb played for a year in Golden State before going to Washington, which is, of course, where I got to know him during his 4 years there. And we know how good he was in Sacramento before he then bounced around a little bit and ended up back with the Warriors in 2007. Tom, make the case for C. Webb. How are his 20 points and 10 boards stacking up?
There's going to be a lot of debate here for C. Webb, but for me, it's not a debate. You look at his per-game numbers in his career. These are career averages of 20.7 points, 9.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists. The guys who have done that in their entire career, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Larry Bird, and Billy Cunningham, 4 of the greatest players of all time. And then there's Chris Webber. This guy was a production machine and one of the best passing bigs ever to play the game of basketball. So for me, again, it's not a debate. I think Chris Webber should be it.
What did you like about seeing Chris play?
I like the fact that Chris had a varied kind of game. He'd back you in sometimes he'd face you up. Sometimes he'd take it on the dribble and find people that were open. I think that's what made his game so adaptable to the different teams that he played on.
Well, we have another big man on the list to get to, Ben Wallace. You know, he's only listed at 6'9", 240 pounds, and his numbers, I mean, they aren't the exceptional numbers, but it is a good thing the Basketball Hall of Fame is about more than numbers. Wallace was a ferocious competitor from 96 to 2012, Defensive Player of the Year 4 times, 5 All-Star Game appearances, NBA title in 2004. Kareem, when you've got a guy like this who doesn't have maybe the stats, but you know what kind of player he was in those Defensive Player of the Year awards.
We're talking about blue collar here, all right? This is a blue collar guy. He goes out there and works in the trenches. Not very pretty, not a whole lot of flashy stats, but you end up winning games with guys like that. I played with a couple guys like that.
Yes, you did.
A guy named Kupchak, a guy named Rambis. You know, they make things happen and usually have a lot of nights where they got bruises, but their teams win.
Well, if he gets in, he will have earned it for sure. Tom, what do you make of Ben's chances here?
I mean, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Look at this blind resume here. Player number 1 versus player number 2. Looks pretty comparable.
Absolutely, right?
But
in fact,
actually,
the guy on the left, he's the one who's got the title. We count that.
Yeah. Actually, I would say player 1 has a better resume,
Yeah.
right? Right, Kareem? What do you think?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Well, guess what? The other player, too, that's Dikembe Mutombo in the Hall of Fame already. Ben Wallace stacks up very nicely against him, also with Dennis Rodman. This is, I think, Ben Wallace, in terms of defensively, one of the best guys of this era. And I think in terms of what he did to Shaq in the 2004 final, if you look at those highlights, it's crazy the stuff that he was doing against Shaq, who was twice the size of him.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how much the voters value that kind of stuff versus some of the other stuff that we talked about.
And keep in mind the story of Ben Wallace, undrafted, coming into the NBA to have that career. Most games played by an undrafted player in NBA history. What a story for Ben Wallace.
Got to count for something. All right, from big man to the smallest of the small, but in height only. 5'3", his frame made you gasp when you first saw him, but come on, Muggsy Bogues could finish, right? Pass, layup, it wasn't hard to tell that he belonged in the NBA. He didn't just play, he ran the point for several teams during his career. Most of them coming in Charlotte, where he played for 10 seasons. That was where we saw most of these highlights. But Tom, how strong a case can you make for Muggsy?
Now, I'm biased because I went to Wake Forest as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say that. This is a Carolina blue tie.
You're going to have to stop talking. We'll go to Kareem now.
I'm going to show you a graphic here, which is amazing. There is one player in NBA history who is 5'3". That's Muggsy Bogues, and it's just amazing. Not just that he got to the NBA, but look at that. That's a plot of players in the NBA with a long career, as many games as Muggsy Bogues played, 889 games. And look at the height. That bar on the left side there is the height of basketball players who played as many games as Muggsy Bogues did. And there he is, way down below. He is 16 inches shorter than the average long career in the NBA. I mean, think about...
And shorter than me. Someone who's shorter than me could make the Hall of Fame. I'm excited about that.
Well, you know, Muggsy is a great testimony to the fact that speed kills, all right? So you got somebody handling the ball, it's close to the ground, can move it around and find the guys that's open. That's a skill that generates to wins on the basketball court, even though his height wouldn't make you think that was possible. There he is.
We have all these committees for the Hall of Fame. I think we need to have a short person's committee, but I might be a little biased about that. We do have a women's committee of nominees that are going to surely make it through. Rebecca Lobo played 6 years in the WNBA, but this is a basketball Hall of Fame, so it's for all kinds of basketball, and she is, of course, known for helping UConn win the 1995 National Championship, leading those great UConn teams 35-0 on that season. I mean, it was breathtaking. Tom, what do you make the case for her?
I'll make the case just on a personal level. I grew up in Connecticut, and she was bigger than Jordan.
It's not the Tom Haverstraw show.
I'm just saying, she was bigger. Yes, it is. It's not like Kareem is a big deal or anything
Exactly,
like that.
come on.
She was bigger than Jordan, bigger than Ray Allen at UConn. I mean, she is.
Yes.
I mean, UConn wasn't number one until she got there.
No, and
it's
that
been
is
there
a
ever
great
since.
local perspective, seriously, because you have Ray Allen, you have Rebecca Lobo. It's Rebecca Lobo that people were worshiping
That was
out
it
there.
on the Connecticut Post. That was it.
Yeah.
Plus, she inspired so many young girls to take the game up and go on and go for it and play basketball. You know, sometimes it's hard to get the females to participate. They saw someone like her going out there and playing with class and determination. They followed her, and now women's basketball has found its niche.
Absolutely, part of a cultural change, and of course, still a member of our ESPN team, broadcasting some games for us. Teresa Witherspoon, synonymous with the New York Liberty. She spent 8 years there, including the 1997 inaugural WNBA season. Tom, what you got for Witherspoon?
Can we just show the shot that she had? I mean, one of the most iconic shots in not just NBA or WNBA. One of the most iconic shots there in the finals, where she hit a half-court shot to send it into extend the game. I mean, I don't know. I don't watch too much about WNBA. I just know that shot is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Look at,
Everyone
look at
thought
the
it was
face
over.
of everyone on the court. That's what's so amazing.
The confetti was coming down.
Here are the other women's committee nominees. That includes Notre Dame coach Muffet McGraw. She's won over 700 games in South Bend. Kim Mulkey, she's won over 400 games, and her current position is Baylor's women's coach. So really some incredible nominees there. All right, coming up on this special edition of The Jump, we're going to talk coaches. We've got international nominees, but let's go to break with a look at the rest of the North American Committee player nominations. Enjoy.
Welcome back to The Jump, presented by Doers.
Welcome back to The Jump. We are unveiling the nominations for the 2017 Hall of Fame class, and let's turn our attention to the North American coaches that have been nominated. Here is the list here. Now, I'm a Maryland girl. If we're doing all of where we grew up, Lefty Brazil, obviously a big deal.
Switching to your show now.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
This is Kareem's show. Let's not mess this up at all. He is the Hall of Famer on the Basketball Hall of Fame show, and really any room Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in, it's Kareem's show. We want to talk about a few of these guys. Let's discuss Coach Rudy Tomjanovich, who, of course, led the Rockets to back-to-back titles in the mid-'90s. He was also a 5-time All-Star as a player. You know, some controversial stuff with a punch in his NBA career as a player, but then he went on to such a coaching career. I think really that's the lasting image a lot of people, today's basketball fan, might have of him.
Exactly,
Tom,
yeah.
what do you think about his chances?
I think he should have been already. I mean, when you look at his resume and the fact is that Rockets team, when they won the titles in 94 and 95, they broke the record for three-point attempts. I mean, it's nowhere near what it is now, half as much. But that team was the first one, in my opinion, to use that weapon effectively. And I think in terms of lasting impact on the game, that kind of set the path for the next couple of decades.
It kind of showed how the evolution was starting to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that they were able to be successful shooting three-point shots, and some people came along 10 years later and just blew that out of the water.
They've done a little bit of that. You sort of, an interesting face when I was talking about him. Why do you think he isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, since Tom said he was surprised he's not in there yet?
I don't know. You know, he didn't coach for a very long time, but winning two back-to-back,
Especially in
a
that
tough
era.
thing to do. You know, that was a very tough era, and his teams they were consistent. I think you know he should have a good chance of making it.
A 5-time All-Star as a player. Then you combine the fact that he was a 2-time NBA champion as a coach. I believe the all-time winningest coach for the Houston Rockets franchise. So when you put the playing career and the actual coaching career, I'm just so surprised he's not already in there. So I think when you put his playing and his coaching, I mean, he's got a great resume.
Yeah, he did really good job as a player, consistent with the jump shot, got some rebounds, played some defense. You know, he had a good all-around game and was a contributor, you know, both ends of the court.
Played some defense.
Yeah, some defense.
Some defense. I want to turn our attention to the International Committee nominations. Here they are. Take a look here. We're going to, Tony Kukoc obviously has a lot of rings to his resume here. And the one we want to talk about the most, though, is Vlade Divac, who hails from Serbia, of course, played 16 seasons in the NBA. Now, of course, that's a very different position in the game over there in Sacramento. But, Kareem, what did you most like about Vlade as a player?
Well, I thought that Vlade brought the European game to the NBA, you know, in being a center who was going to play a whole lot of different spots on the court, at the free throw line, top of the key. Sometimes he did some post-up work, but he was all over the place, more in the European style. I thought that really kind of opened that up for them to come and continue to contribute.
And I think in terms of impact on the game, I want to say flopping is what he was known for, but I think taking charges. I'm saying taking charges.
This is a beautiful day. He's being
I'm not saying
nominated for the Hall of Fame.
I'm saying if you want to see the impact of his game, he was one of the first guys to really employ the value of the charge, which in many ways gets you more wins than actually going for the block shot. So he was, I think, impactful. Not just that, but you see there, traded for Kobe Bryant. So without Vlade Divac, I don't think really, maybe the legacy of Kobe Bryant in LA, I don't know. So in terms of lasting impact, Vlade, internationally and as a humanitarian, I think he's a great candidate.
He kind of joins forces there with Gail Goodrich, who was traded for Magic.
Yeah.
The Lakers franchise would never be the same. It is fascinating, all these little tributaries in the game. And you bring up the point about him being a European player in an era where there was so much skepticism still, and how you had to fit in with your teammates and fit in and get credit for what you were able to do. So I think that falls into the category.
As we're talking about, they're not tough.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, C. Webb as a passer with him and Vlade together, one of the best passing duos in the front court.
Be interesting if they got to go in together. All right, we got to take another quick break first, but here are the early African American Pioneers Committee nominations. Take a look at these.
The Jump is presented by Dewar's, the world's most awarded blended Scotch whiskey. Live true. Drink responsibly.
All right, let's highlight a few of the Hall of Fame nominees in the contributor category. Starting with our friend, broadcaster Marv Albert. Marv, inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame last year and has received the Kurt Gowdy Award for the Basketball Hall of Fame as well. But this would be pretty great if Marv the voice so much in so many ways of the NBA, right?
Gosh!
Yeah.
And it counts! Sorry. Didn't mean to scream in your ear.
Sorry.
We can maybe have like a narration wing. Be good.
Everyone growing up, it was just like everyone wanted to be Marv Albert. And Yosh! Every time you hit a shot in the backyard or just at the gym, you just said the Marv Albert stuff.
Well, I thought that Marv did a great job of making the game kind of homogenized. You know, everybody started using the same terms after he started his shtick, and people started following him in that sense.
That's the influence. Next up is Agent David Falk. His notable client, of course, was Michael Jordan, but it's sort of the way he represented Jordan throughout his time with the Bulls in the 80s and 90s. He had a lot of influence in the way contracts started to be negotiated, collective bargaining. He represented Dikembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing. So I think that's going to be interesting to see the way voters decide, is that influence that's worth it.
Yeah, if you ask, a piece of trivia, who was the first guy to ever have a $100 million contract in the NBA? It's Juwan Howard. That's all
Thanks
David
to
Falk.
Absolutely. I don't know. Does an agent belong in the Hall of Fame?
I think so. I think the players would want that because those are the guys that go out there and get us those great salaries and keep it moving in terms of the increase in salary.
Keep the wheels running. It's not just about compensation. It's about sort of value and freedom, and agents have been a big part of that as well.
And being appreciated.
Absolutely. No question. We appreciate all of our potential future Hall of Famers. Special congratulations to our nominee, Tracy McGrady. That is it for us here from The Jump. Thank you to Kareem and Tom. And before we go, here are the rest of the Hall of Fame nominees in the contributor category, especially the veterans category. Take a look.